Hello everyone, my name is Chris, and this is my channel, The Apprentice Builder Chris. I'm trying to figure out how to make perfect models. Just follow along with my adventures.
Hello everyone, this is another video from a Tamiya build, the classic one, Nissan Fairlady 280Z. It's a model they reproduced because the original 24015 is not longer available. So this is a reboxing. So I'm showing you the box. There's in this box a lot more detail than in the older version, but in this version there is a possibility to mount a motor, but there is nothing in the content of the box to place the motor, but there's a possibility. Perhaps with some older parts it could be doable, but not with this content. So I'm now showing the building sheet, several stages. It's much more detailed, also color coded. In the older model you had to free range the colors, but here there's well documented which color has to be, which part has to be which color. So much more detailed. It's a nice kit, rather simple kit. Here you can see the T roof. There are decals to mask off the window side. As you can see, very detailed. I'm gonna cut out the hood so the motor is exposed. So this was the building sheet, and now I'm gonna show you the content of the box. Starting with the body of the kit, nicely detailed, a little bit of mold lines, but not that many. A chrome sprue with back panel for the rear lights and some nice wheels. A black sprue with engine parts, part of the interior, the undercarriage. As you can see, the bumpers, everything. So I think there's not much content. And a clear sprue. There you see the T-roofs, nicely molded, the front lights, back lights. Then the driver and part of the engine cover and suspension. Then wheels, axles and polycaps. You see there the axle. Then you can see here lots more decals than in the original kit, and this is the masking for the T-roof. So let's start with opening everything. There are lots of you see mold lines, so I used a file to file them down. The gray sprue, driver, engine parts, and on the left side you see part of the engine that is not included, the electric engine. Clear sprue, nicely detailed. Black sprue, car seats, gearbox, radiator, steering components, suspension components, even brake master cylinder, mirrors, the hood mount to open and close the hood, the undercarriage, door panels, and in the middle you can see the little ring, that's for the motor. Very well detailed. Very nice chrome for the bumpers, headlight buckets, and then the body. Not much mold lines, a little bit, but not so much to remove. Nicely firm. The backside also a little bit, but not much. Overall, a very nice kit. So this was the content of the box. So now we can start by cutting everything loose and using my organization system. I use this assortment box to place all my parts. So I begin with writing the name of the project. I didn't know very well, so, and then the number from Tamiya. This I stick on the box because I work on several projects at a time, so I know which box is which project. And then you start by sorting everything out. And then I clip everything loose from the spruce. Everything is clipped. Can you see the sprues are empty? I removed the cover of the body. Everything has been sorted out. And then no dust can get to it and it's safely put aside. And I start with the preparation of the body. I use a marker pen to highlight the mold lines. I check the whole car, and everywhere that I see a mold line, this is the permanent marker I use, but you can use a Sharpie or whatever. And then, like I said, I will be showing the engine compartment, so with a sharp knife, so be careful, I cut loose the bonnet or hood as you wish, but you must be very, very careful. I use a fresh blade, so it cuts very well. But again, please be careful for the fingers. And be gentle. Do not force it. Feel if it loosens, it loosens. Recut if it doesn't loose. So here you can see. And then I clean up the hood or bonnet Then I use my cutting blade to accentuate the mold lines. And then the parts that you can glue, or you can glue this is the hood ledge. Because they have to be painted in the same color than the body color. And then I start with in this, because they were rather thick, I used a nail file, a very fine nail file. But you can use everything that you want, because afterwards the body will be sanded down with sanding paper from 600 grit. So test fitting. Yes. A little bit of tweaking. Again, test fitting. That's useful, test fitting. Because if the car is painted and then you have issues with the parts that doesn't fit, you have to redo it, and then you have to repaint it, and repeat the whole process, and that's frustrating. So it's best that you do it in this stage of the build, test fit everything. And I use a little brush, a makeup brush, to remove the dust. Then I scribe every line, because I use primer, and then I use 3 or 4 coats of paint. And if I do not do this, the body lines fade and you don't see anything anymore. So I do this with every kit I build, scribing. It's not necessary, but I like to do it. It adds a little bit of realism, and in this case I didn't use a panel liner, but you can use panel liner to accentuate the body lines even more. So I do this with every panel line of the car. But again, it's optional. You don't have to do this. So now, sanding. As you can see, 600 grit plain sanding paper, but you can use sanding sponges or anything you have. If it's a 600 grit, so you go over every panel, not too hard, so you don't remove any details of the car, but you remove the shine of the plastic. It's better for the paint to grip on a sanded surface. Here you see me using a sanding sponge. Then you dust off everything, first with the brush, like this. And then I go over every mold line, every panel line with the skewer to remove the dust. out of every part of the body. Then I used my ultrasonic cleaner to remove every dust and the grease from my fingers and the grease from the molding, so it will be thoroughly cleaned. I use this washing soap in this process. Then I dry everything off with the towel, the parts. Then I put the body back into the plastic bag. Then I place everything on clips to prepare for paint. And as you can see, then I wear gloves, because otherwise the grease from your fingers goes off on the parts, and paint won't stick where there's grease. So I use gloves for this process. So everything is on my wheel, ready for base coating. So, like you can see, the body ready for paint. So a little warning there: when you paint, please use gloves, use a mask, because the stuff is toxic, people, so please protect yourself. So here is the start of the base coat, the first layer of base coat. You must check every part that you want in a certain color. So this base coat, there are parts that I use gray primer, there are parts that I use white primer. So the body is gonna be red, so I use a white primer, and the rest of the interior I used a gray primer because it's gonna be black. And the second coat I put on for the base plate is the undercoat is white, because it's gonna be body color. So this I use also gray for some parts. Steering wheel, it's gonna be black. The interior is gonna be black, matte black and satin black, except one from Tamiya and X18 satin black from Tamiya. But as you can see, you don't have to do it. If you say the parts are black, I don't care, nobody sees these parts, so I leave them black. But some parts of the engine are very detailed, so I prime them because they has to be painted afterwards. And yes, oh yes. The most dreaded thing of every model builder is a hair in the paint. So remove it when it's wet, otherwise you're gonna regret it. So every part gets his base coat. Some parts get one coat, some parts get two coats. Even the battery. And this is an issue but most airbrushers encounter: tip drying. So I show you this because it's reality, people. So here I'm putting on the color XF1 matte black for the interior. Parts of the steering system, parts of the interior system. It's also a matte black, and the coils I paint afterwards. Parts who has to be chromed I also do in matte black, because the chrome comes out much more if there's a black undercoat. After the parts, I start with the body. I mask off the parts that has to be red, and then use black. The second layer of black is going on, and then I start with the red. It's much more clear on the white base. You can much darker the base color is, how darker the red is. So I use white, you can use pink, and then you have to wait for the paint to dry, because you have to mask off the black. So I masked off the black parts, and then I started with the red, the first coat. I start at the bottom and apply a very light layer, but it's paint that it's covering very good. And you can see it's very vibrant, the red, because it's on the white base. Let it dry for a little while, and then you can, in the meanwhile, do the second coat on the base plate or undercarriage. Don't forget the wheel wells, chassis. You can see also here. Then let it flash off for 5 minutes. Then the second layer of paint on the body. It's a nice red from Fire Scale. So now the final layer, the wet layer, a somewhat more thick coat that goes on, as you can see. As you can see, I masked off also the parts that doesn't have to be painted in the red. And then you have to wait for a few days before masking off. Otherwise, the paint will come off if the paint isn't dry enough. So now everything is masked off, and you can use rattle can or airbrush, but I prefer the brush to do the details. I know it's gonna be a satin look because the clear coat is going over the black parts. You wait until the clear coat is on to do the rubbers, but I prefer them a little bit more shiny. So here you see me scribing with a skewer and then cutting the outlines of the back latch, and then apply the paint with the little brush or with your airbrush. It's detailing. I fit the body to see if there are no colors that vary. Then after a few hours I remove the tape. And then back to masking and painting. Then after a few hours I remove and I check. Then if you see something that is out of line, because the paint isn't not ready dry, you can remove it with a skewer. And then you redo the folds that you have made, little touch-ups with a fine brush. Then I use ball bearings in every jar that I are metallics or blacks or whites, or because the paint mixes much easier. There are ball bearings, little ball bearings or glass beads that you can use for this. And then you start with the detailing. So most of the undercarriage is done, and here I'm showing the two colors that I used, satin black and matte black. And then I start with XF56. It's a kind of metallic for the straps for the petrol tank or gas tank. And then I start detailing little highlights. They're not realistic, I know, but I like to do that. It's your car, it's your choices, so you do what you please. Then some touch-ups. Then I mix my own color. do some detailing. There were little squares that has to be in this color. The color combination was shown in on the building sheet. Then I start with the brake lines and the gas lines. I use copper for this. It's a little accent. It makes the car more realistic. As you can see, the oil filter, it's a Fram because it's red, and then touch-ups again. So this is it, the undercarriage, the base plate. So from this point on, everything is ready. So I didn't film it anymore. So here you can see the file I used to do the wheels, and you can see some details of the parts I did and how much color that I use is just to become this result. Sorry, but the photos aren't very sharp. The interior details, this one is sharp, and you can see the details of the engine. I matte blacked the interior, the driver, as you can see, the engine, and then my apologies, I forgot to film the 2K clear process. Apologies for this. So you can see on the clear coat, because I painted the interior with the brush, there was some faults, so I removed them with the skewer on the clear coat. It's very easy when it's very dry, because you must let it dry for at least 5 days to be hardened. It has to be polished, so it's not polished yet. So there's lots of grit in it. Details from the clear coat. You must remove the chrome, otherwise it doesn't stick. You see the process of the T-roof. I used a Radokan on the inside, removing the chrome to let it stick. Chrome on the bumpers, same process, remove it to get it stick. Bumpers are on. I like the bumpers matte. It has a slightly used look. I like that. And then the box is empty, the project is finished. I check the building sheet, check off the last steps, go through it again to see I didn't miss anything. I choose my own colors, so I don't have to follow the painting and markings, but I go through the whole building sheet again to see if I didn't miss a step or forgot some decals that I had to bring on. So project Nissan Fairlady 280Z has finished. The box is empty. So now the final check. The bonnet is polished somewhat, but there's still some impurities in it. Had to do with the clear coat and the base coat, something for the rust. And then I had some decals over, so I don't throw them away. I preserve them. So you can see everything is used. The box is empty. I removed the label, and project 24015 Tamiya Classic is ready to go into the collection. Thank you for watching. I will show you some photos of the end project. I hoped you enjoyed and learned something from this video. I hope to see you in the next video. I wish you a very good day, a very good life, a very good health. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be noticed for upcoming projects. You can check out my Instagram, Christian Somnal, or my Facebook page. So, thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell.